All right. Stepping into the ring with our heavyweight contenders, weighing in at a whopping presumed 7,000 plus years and counting, we have the Far Eastern religious doctrines, including Hinduism, Taoism, Lao Tzu's Tao Te Ching, and my personal indispensable Buddhism, which, by all accounts, in the opinion of myself and the foundation members, would be the one that comes as close as anything ever has to identifying with what we experience as being an absolute situation given our own actual personal investigation in the matter. Um, these this set classification of religions, so to speak, is not actually a religious practice by any means, but more philosophical methodology. It does not propose any deity, so to speak, or God figure. It certainly doesn't impose any ruling dictates or laws. It's not in any way dictatorial as the newer, younger religions, seem to be relying upon that as a formality, at least a principle of sorts. Um, we speak to Buddhism particularly because I love it, but I identify with it. I was in fact married by a Buddhist monk. That's how far I took it, baby. But particularly Taoism, Hinduism, even not so much Hinduism, but Taoism, and specifically Lao Tzu and the Tao Te Ching, his teachings, his followers. This was the original practices of spotting. These were the original spotters. This is our lineage, and they speak to precisely what we do. And in fact, these doctrines, these considerations go far back beyond 7,000 years. It's simply that the 7,000 years is what we can materially account for given the lens of our current faith-based doctrines. But we are of the understanding that this goes way back to through several cycles and lineages of humanity. There's no telling how many other faith-based or religious, sects or cultures have developed in that time and been completely erased from humanity. But these survived because spotters like myself, the directive, our people, the initiative, fought like hell to keep these fucking things alive. And thank God we were successful. Now, what they do teach in regards to a deity is that you are a piece of the living environment, that we are all what I would speak personally, I would say are fractured shards of an initial identity that exists innately. I mean, there is consciousness. We understand that. It's not something that you can argue with. You're alive. You have a certain degree of self awareness. However, of course, to actually put forth the identification that you have in fact become self aware, first you must acknowledge that you have been unaware, that you have in fact been kind of sleepwalking and not really realized that you are a living entity, a part of the living world. Anyone who claims that they have, dismissed the concept of a God entirely, that there is no life in the world, are, are blind. You're clueless. I'm sorry. It's the case. It's a fact of the matter. Now, I wholeheartedly agree with your dismissing of religion, but you've made the mistake of going so far as dismissing deity as well. There is no principal God figure imposing any dictates upon you. You are the God figure imposing your own dictates upon yourself. Once you become aware of that fact and begin to take responsibility for your own decisions, then you can declare yourself as having become self-aware. However, if you go ahead and just throw away the concept of identity altogether, dismiss the reality that there is a living consciousness to the world and that in fact we must all be a part of it, there is no other way of being, then you've gone a little too far in that direction. In any case, what these Far Eastern doctrines are going to be teaching is simply a methodology, as I said, a philosophical understanding that, they have certain considerations that are to be regarded as kind of principles in a manner of speaking. They introduce the concept of reincarnation, which I personally have to say I do have, you know, experiential evidence of this being a true, an actual reality that we do in fact move from life to life. And for all intents and purposes, it's not something that you should really be denying at any rate, because the fact of the matter is that we know energy cannot be created or destroyed. Therefore, the energy that makes up what you are must have always existed and has really nowhere else to go but into another body now, doesn't it? So, boom, headshot. I mean, dismiss that. It's your own idea. It's your own ideology, and it's faith based ultimately. So, I mean, believe it or don't. It doesn't really matter because it is happening, and anyone that happens to be watching this, even a nihilist, you simply cannot construct your own belief system at all. You can't even believe in nothing without first ascertaining that you in fact do exist and have that decision to make. So you're here, therefore you must have always been here and must always be here because there's nowhere else for you to have gone. Bottom line. Now, what you are, really, what's behind the curtain, the wizard behind the curtain, that ultimate identity, that the one that we all are, that onlyness, even we who have reached the boundary and identified with this and seen the never, even we who have gone that far and reached that ultimate reality, have no fucking clue. I mean, who knows? That's kind of the point of it. It's a mystery, and in fact, it would stand to reason that perhaps the solution, getting to the bottom of that mystery, is simply understanding that perhaps there is a sort of a nothing that exists, and we are in fact attempting to escape that reality. Because holy shit, if you see it, any of you out there, psychonauts, please chime in. If you watch this video and you understand what I'm talking about, you need to comment on this. We need to start working together, and we need to start making people aware, because it's not, I mean, fuck me. If you've been to the never, if you've hit the wall, any psychonauts out there, use psychedelics to go that far, anybody who's used meditation, projection, DreamWorks, anybody who's hit that wall and returned and knows what I'm talking about when I say we've reached the boundary and we've seen nothing happen, the void. You understand where I'm coming from. It's not a place you want to be. And so you when you return to here, you're very grateful for having this at all. So, I mean, that's going to be provision A as it stands. Then beyond that, there are considerations to be made regarding what the Eastern religions would call karma, which they have this idea that you sort of create an account of balances, that you're going to be measuring out over the course of several lifetimes, that you're going to carry over baggage from one lifetime to another. Now, personally, my consideration in this regard, my personal opinion, is going to be the stance that maybe somebody, if you're involved with somebody on that level and you carry over from one life to another together, and you actually, live out several lifetimes together as what you might call soulmates, then perhaps you carry over burdens such as, dramas where maybe you hurt one another, maybe you did something to affect one another in a positive or a negative manner, and you actually, your bottom line, your actual self, is seeking to repay that debt in one way or another. That's a perfectly considerable possibility. However, in my opinion, I believe it's more of a self determined kind of a principle, really, that karma would be the same sort of a consideration to make as having luck, that you get what you give. You know, if you have a positive attitude and you put out positive energy and you're a positive person, that's what you're going to receive as feedback from the world. Even the fucking flat out most obnoxious dickhead will eventually take a certain kindness to you if you treat him in a kind manner. He or she, doesn't have to be a him, but it usually is, ain't it? Um, you know, if you're kind to them repeatedly, despite whatever they may do to you, eventually they're going to fold. They have to. They have no other option. And if they do persist in being a total fucking asshole, then let them work out their own karma. You are fundamentally solid in the fact that you're capable of remaining positive, and that's going to be the burden that we carry as spotters. Maintaining our relationship with the world in such a way as to present ourselves as having that understanding that that's the fight, that's the battleground that's in front of you every step of the way. Can you manage to maintain your positive attitude regardless? And you're going to be challenged. And every time that you are challenged, every time that something pisses you off, gets on your nerves, tries to put you down, every time the world seems to step on you, accept that challenge and overcome it. Be positive, be strong, be a person that can manage, that can take the heavy hits and return in kind, with kindness. It's it's not something that should be difficult to understand. This is a simple concept, and being the simplest fucking concept that exists, I can understand that the vagueness of it maybe is somewhat slippery to grasp, but it's actually not really. I mean, if you just acknowledge it and say, hey, what the hell? I'll just be a good person for the sake of it. Now, you're going to encounter people who are, in fact, suffering from, or suffering is a loose term, but who have, you know, a psychopathic attitude, psychopathy, people that are, for whatever reason, seemingly incapable of experiencing a sense of empathy for others. And I suppose you could have a kind of a like feeling sorry for them in a sort of way, really, if you want to, or you could be like, fuck them, they're evil. I mean, you could say that. It's your decision. Personally, I'm gonna have to go ahead and say, in my own opinion, there is no fucking good or evil. It's bullshit. There is no there is no deity making rules and you know, judging people. It's you. And the God figure that most people are identifying with in this day and age are just simply their own considerations of what they think the universe should be in regards to what they've experienced, you know, with their parents, with other authority figures, whatever they've experienced as a figure of authority, which is going to ultimately fall upon the shoulders of our society as a whole. You know, the way that we've treated the world, it has responded. The feedback that we get is simply forfeiting our own power. We all a lot of us seem to be seeking an obedience. We want to be subdued and subjugated. We don't want to have our own authority. We don't want to have self-respect. We don't want to have responsibility. We want somebody else to be making the decisions for us so that if we fuck up, we don't have to take the blame. Simple as that. It is everything that you're going to encounter, and especially on this battleground, which this battle has officially begun. So stick with it, see what happens, or drop out and run away because you're afraid. But we're gonna deal some fucking damage here. That's for certain. Whoever sent me this fucking thing, that was a mistake, and this is what happened. Your ideology that you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna tell me that every one of these here, I'll go ahead and I'll read it. They have 14 minutes, but hopefully you guys will watch this. Contradict, to imply the opposite or a denial of. This card depicts symbols for 10 of the world's best known religions. 9 imply the opposite or denial of the truth. 9 contradict what is true. Only one symbol represents the truth, the cross. Most people in the world are walking contradictions. They assert they are good, when in their heart and mind they know they are not. Romans 2:15 to 16. Wow, you're quoting the Bible, it must be fucking true, right? Sorry. See for yourself. Have you ever lied, stolen, taken God's name in vain? I'm sorry, what's God's name again? Because I'm pretty sure none of you can agree upon that. And if you did, why? I thought it was in vain. Have you ever taken God's name in vain, harbored hatred or lust in your heart, ever committed idolatry by practicing one of the many false religions in the world? I'm going to stop it there. Oh, no, let's go as far as to say, then God does not see you as good. First of all, how are you going to speak for God if you are not God? Which you dismiss that concept, even though your God figure Jesus told you that you are God, you still deny it. Not only because you are in fact a cult of hypocrites essentially, but because a lot of you are just flat out fucking stupid that you accept this idea. A, B, how fucking dare you go ahead and tell anyone, how dare you tell yourself even that these religions that have existed for, at the very least that we know of for certain, 5,000 years beyond yours and have been established and, you know, commemorated and understood, just committed religious doctrines for the most part for 5,000 years plus beyond your childish, immature consideration of a religion which preaches division, teaches people to hate each other, teaches people that there's a God that's going to punish them indefinitely or infinitely even for committing acts that would likely have been a mistake and are perfectly, correctable. I mean, people fuck up. People do stupid things. People hurt each other, and usually it's because they've been corrupted by some other presentation. Usually the presentation of your fucking bullshit religion. I'm sorry. This is my personal understanding. Other people can present any fucking concept they want. The initiative is not backing any personal opinion regarding religion. I'm just sharing mine here because we need to cover religion as a topic due to you having started shit with us. Yours is the only, and you know what, I got another video to cover this, so I'm not even going to speak to it here so much, but just bottom line, how fucking dare you speak against concepts and doctrines that have existed for far longer than yours, that have been made use of and that built our world. The world that your religion originated in was built by the foundation of these understandings. And the one simple, basic, identifiable factor of every one of these Far Eastern, older, more established spiritualities, so to speak, is that they only teach you to, they only give you suggestions as to how to live a better life, as to how to go through your life in such a manner, they give you presently a means by which to go through your life without doing, with doing as little damage as you possibly can to yourself and to others, and for the practicality of not receiving such negative feedback. If you don't teach people to hate each other, they likely won't be hurting each other, will they? But then again, if you go on and you decidedly teach them imperatively to hate certain people for whatever reasons you come up with based on your fictitious God figure, which is just likely a total fucking imposter, then yeah, people are going to hurt each other. They're going to break your rules because you've imposed them. That's how it works. I mean, we learned this when we were 6 to 10 years old. It's an easy lesson to learn. Every fucking buddy knows it. If you preach hate, you're going to get hate. And we know this presently because it is in fact built into our genetic understanding due to the fact that we have been identifying with these simpler, more constructive and creative principles for far longer than your made up religion has existed at all. So I mean, these are philosophical principles that teach simple ideologies. They give you suggestive implications as to how you can live a better life. They do not ever preach about there being some imposing dictator, and they certainly do not attempt to convert you. What we do is attempt to extend our understanding and continue the lineage. And you know what? In that regard, I'm going to have to go ahead and apologize already before I make another video about it for being crude and crass here. But I mean, you sent me that card, man. Are you serious? You're gonna tell me that you're gonna fucking tell me that these other religious doctrines that actually serve a productive purpose and do not ever preach hatred or tell you to be dismissive of anything are false, and that your God does not see us as good if we've ever practiced it. Go to your hell. I mean, if you feel it absolutely necessary for this hell to exist, then go on and take yourself there, because that's just a bottom line bucket of bullshit. And it's all I have to say about it. Your religion, your card, your concept is a fucking monster. And the fact that you buy into that bullshit is seriously unfucking believable to myself and anybody else. And I'm going to go ahead and present this as the collective opinion, because we do share this opinion. It's just unbelievable that you people can actually buy into this and believe this, that you can be so convinced of something so vile and detestable. It's unreal. So I do apologize for being crass about it. You know, our understanding is to preach kindness and caring, but you people, you make it very difficult to just keep with that. You impose negativity upon people, and then you go so far as to be as arrogant and as, greedy, and just go back to your seven deadly sins. You get every one of them. You hit every one of them when you preach that your religion is the only truth and everybody else is bullshit, when in fact you are the only ones in the world preaching bullshit. And you're like the only ones in the world that are so die hard convinced of it too, determined to convert everybody into hateful monsters. No, not on my watch. So again, it's the last time. I am sorry that I have to be crass about this, but you fucked up sending me that. We're gonna get heavy here. So strap in or drop out. If you can't handle the heat, get out of my fucking kitchen. Kila Salai, Terbiuni Siari Namaste.